Hey guys, it's Heath Smith from Heath Smith Photography. Anyways, today I'm going to be showing you guys a tutorial on how to create a panorama in Photoshop. And I'm going to be using two images which I took on my latest trip through Europe in Cinque Terre. And I'm going to show you how, once it's created, to fix all the distortions and go ahead and edit it into an HDR image. So, come on and I'll show you how to do it. Hey guys, anyways, this is the image that we're going to be making together. This is one I took of Cinque Terre, and it was an amazing little sunset. And actually, I stayed in this little pink house right here on the third floor. It was quite nice. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and make this image, and one of the issues I had was I didn't have a wide enough lens for it. Here you can see I shot for the buildings because I wanted to have the buildings, but I had 17 millimeters, which is the widest I had. I had my 17 f4 on my Sony a7R, but I wanted to get this boat over here, and this boat and the part of the sunset was just amazing, and the clouds rolled in. It was just absolutely gorgeous, but I couldn't get both of them in to get the shot I wanted, which was this. This is what I saw in my mind. So I went ahead and set it up so I could do a panning shot real quick and easy and create a pretty seamless image with enough overlapping. As you see, I have my buildings here, and I also have the buildings here to go back into the back part with the ramp. But when I did the three image HDR brackets, it didn't come out right, and it just wasn't as sharp as what I wanted. So I went ahead and I started playing with the images a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and reset the images before we get going. And you can see this one, I wasn't set up on manual mode. See, this one was shot at 1/13 of a second, and the other one was shot at 1/25 of a second. So I did the biggest mistake right then and there. But the first thing you can do is you can fix it. Is a little technique is we're going to go here. And this is the brighter one, but I think we can save it. We're going to go here. We're going to go over here and click both. And you're going to go up to your tools. And we are going to match total exposure. And it's going to go ahead and lower one of the images down, which is this, down almost one whole stop. And it's going to match them. So it's going to be easier to blend together. Now, some people said go ahead and blend the images right now and get it to where you want it, and then some people say go ahead and blend them afterwards. We're going to do afterwards because I think that's going to be easiest. So we're going to go ahead and edit in, merge as a panoramic in Photoshop. Go ahead and open that up. Once Photoshop opens, you're going to be greeted with this thing where it says photo merge. You have a couple different layouts on the side: auto, perspective, cylinder, circular, all this other stuff, and you can do it. You can go ahead and click geometric distortions corrections, and you can also do vignette removal if you shot at like a low f4 or like f2.8. Sometimes you get a little bit of dark fraying. You want to correct that now if you haven't done that already in Lightroom. But we're just going to click those, and we're going to go ahead and go OK and let Photoshop do its thing. Okay, now we got into Photoshop and it's gone ahead and done its thing, and when you do the perspective correction, it kind of bows it so it kind of stays kind of straight. But as you can see, you still got the horizon line kind of bowing up a little bit. We're going to fix that real quick. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the image a little bit smaller so you guys can see it. We're going to go over here to our panel, and we're going to go ahead and flatten the image. This right there is going to make the image 1. Now we're going to go up to Filter, Adaptive Wide Angle, and we're going to go into this program. And we're going to start selecting lines to make things better. So we're going to zoom out, and we're going to actually scale it out also a little bit so we get all the sides. First things first is that we're going to select on this horizon line. We're going to go ahead and select it. Go all the way out, making sure that we're kind of following the contour of it. Snap it. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start correcting the angle. And we want to put this at 0. So go ahead and get close to 0. And that line, once it turns green, it will not move at all. No matter what you do to the other lines, it will not move. So next thing is the next key feature that we know is kind of vertical is this building right here. So we're going to go ahead and get up here close. This is going to take some practice. We're just going to grab a line and we're going to go down where the blue line is going to bend a little bit. We're going to just kind of guesstimate it, snap it, and we're going to go ahead and grab this line, and we know that one's kind of close to 90. So we're going to go ahead and put that close to 90. Trick is if it's really close and you can't get it really far out, like I just got lucky there, just grab it and go all the way up here, and it actually makes it easier if you take it farther out. So now we got the image kind of corrected, but we still got to correct for the distortion. So I usually just go to the sides, snap it, go to the other side, snap this side, and then since we have two images here together, you can see how it bows. We're going to go to the very center, stop, go to the other side, same thing. We're going to repeat the process on the bottom. Now this isn't an exact science, this is going to get you close to what you need. As long as it looks somewhat right in the eye, that's what matters. And then once you go through, you can do a little bit lower and that will correct it. And you can see that it just brings down that sky, and we're going to bring this water back up. And this is getting back into that 6:9, 16:9 ratio that we're trying to go for. So we're good here. I'm going to go ahead and leave it, and we're going to push OK. So now we're back in Photoshop. It's gone ahead and given us the look that we want. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and crop it. We're going to go down to the 16:9 ratio. We're going to go ahead and select that, and we're going to drag it down to about where we want it, and we're going to try and get in everything we can. Go ahead and slide this over a little bit, and here we go. That's our 16:9, and that's the beginning of our image. So we've gone ahead and merged both of them together, and now it's one. Now next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into Lightroom. All you have to do is do Command S on a Mac, and that's going to go ahead and automatically save it. And now we're going to go jump right back into Lightroom and edit it from there. Now we're back in Lightroom. We got this image that we can play with. Now it's a mixture of both these images, and it's got what we want. Basic editing, as we always start off with, is we're going to go ahead and drop down the highlights, bring back out that sky. We're going to raise up the shadows. And I expose this one to be purposely for the highlights, so we saved them. And now we got this nice little histogram, and we got the colors of the buildings back with the color of the sky. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a little bit of contrast, just a little bit. We're going to find our white point. We're going to raise it up. Then we'll get some white dots. We're going to pull it back a little bit. Do the same with the blacks. Go down until you hit a fair amount of blacks, and then come back a little bit. And then we're going to play with clarity and vibrance. Now we're going to play with this in another program, so we're just going to play with a little bit, and we're going to probably bump up the exposure just a little bit. Things down here we can play with, but we're going to come back to it. But I can tell you right now, this image, I've already played with it once, and this light has some purple fringing here. So we're going to go ahead and get the eyedropper. We're going to go in here, we're going to select it on one of the purple, and it's gone. Done. So we don't have to worry about that. Go back out. We got our image, and now we're going to go back into Photoshop, and we're going to edit it again there. First things first is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to bust out our tool panel. We're going to go down to Color Effects Pro. It's just easier for me to do it in Photoshop where I can go back and change it later on. So I've already done this image, so the settings are already changed. So first thing I always do in this Color Effects Pro is I always play with the Pro Contrast. I like what it does here with the rocks and the buildings. It brings out more of the details. I don't like how it does it to the sky. It makes it darker up here because, well, skies aren't dark all the time. So we're going to leave the settings how they are. We're going to hit OK, and then it's going to save the image. So go ahead and look at it. We're going to go before and after. It automatically makes it a lot better. So like I said, I don't like the sky, so we're going to go down here. We're going to put a mask on. We're going to make it white, and that lets you paint through the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and go to my tool brush on my Wacom tablet, hit B for brush, make sure we are painting on black. We're going to make a nice large brush, and we're going to go to about 50%, and we're just going to paint back in some of that sky where it's not quite as crunchy as one would say. Once that's done, come back over, and you can see that the water and all the buildings have now become a little bit more poppy. So once that's all said and done with, we can go ahead and flatten the image. And that key was Command Option Shift E on a Mac, and now I'll go ahead and make everything into one. And then I'm going to go over here, and I love these Perfect Effects lately. So we're going to go Perfect Effects 8. I need to upgrade, but I have those right now, and they work just fine. So we're here in Perfect Effects 8, and it's the same thing essentially as Photoshop, but it has a whole bunch of presets over here on the left-hand side. So first things we're going to do is we have an empty layer, and we're going to start playing with it. And I like to go to color enhance. And since this is, we can do like an auto color, and it makes everything a little bit more poppy and a little bit more of a golden color, and it makes everything's a little bit more saturated. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and make the layer mask on that about 40 to 50%. I'm going to create an additional mask, and I'm going to come down here to a warmer color, and that's going to give it that sunset on the rocks and the sky, and it also gives it all the water. That one I don't want to go too much, and I'm going to go a little bit higher on it, and that's going to be about 65. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead another mask, and we're going to come down here, and we're going to go down to sunshine. And I've loved sunshine because of what it can do for you. Like, I can put a glow on the image, and it just makes it real dreamy and, you know, subtle. But I always go to sunshine for some reason. I love this, what it does to the look of the image, and it creates everything really nice and vibrant. However, I don't like what it's doing to the sky too much. I want to save it a little bit. So if I go here on a little bit, on about 50%, I bring it back. So that's about it. Very simple plugins. It's done. You don't have to do too much. And then I'm just going to hit apply. So we're back in Photoshop, and I'm just going to turn it off, and you can see how we adjusted the colors to make it better. And here's what it is with the Pro Contrast, getting a little bit more pop. And then the perfect effects just make it pop even much more. So that's kind of where we're trying to go for. So this image looks really nice, and I like it a lot. However, if you come back here in the later ones, you see that in the sky right here, there's a little teal. So we're going to try and bring that back out. So we're going to go here, and we're going to grab this lower one, and I'm going to go ahead and put a mask on this one again. Make sure I'm on black with my brush, and we're just going to paint in a little bit right here, and that's going to bring in a little bit more of that teal sky that I liked. And make sure you're not painting too much. I want to take it off this cloud. I want to keep that cloud color, and we can paint off all of this part up here. And then that is that. So we can go ahead and select it all, merge it into one, and we're going to go ahead and save it and go back into Lightroom. We're back in Lightroom, and here we are. So I've gone ahead, and we see this image is where we started with the blending. We go ahead and fix the colors, made it a little more HDR pops, fixed the clouds, and created the buildings to be a little bit more pop out. So what we can do here is we can bring down the highlights a little bit more, and you see how it brings it out, but it darkens up the sky. It makes it really dark and dingy. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do a selective. Shadows the same way. We can bring it out the rocks, but we've already done it, so we don't need to do it. What I am going to do is I'm going to punch up the vibrance a little bit to make the sky and the buildings pop a little bit more. Then we're going to come down, and we're going to click on this little eyedropper tool and see if this works. And we're just going to scroll up a little bit, see if that comes out. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a halo effect, and I don't like that, so we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is going to be selective with a paintbrush. But I am going to go to sharpening, and I'm going to sharpen it a little bit, and then I'm going to do masking, mask out that sky, but keep the buildings in the water nice and sharp. And since I did do a lot of pushing and pulling on this, I'm going to push the noise reduction. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to go ahead and bust out our brush. We're going to zero everything out, but we're going to go to highlights, and we're going to drop down a little bit of the exposure, drop it right here on the sky, and we're just going to paint in. See if we get a little bit of the sky color back in. Maybe paint on the mountains over here to make them a little bit darker. And then we're going to hit new, and we're going to do a little bit of dodging and burning real quick. So we're going to do about a half a stop up here, paint on this building. We're going to emphasize this. Paint on the building, paint on the rocks, paint on the boat a little bit, maybe paint back here, back in this corner, up on the green. And then after that, we're going to do the complete opposite. We're going to go to our burn, and then we're just going to paint. I feel like shadows should be always underneath things, so shadows near the edges of the water, so you really shouldn't be able to see that dark. I mean, that into the darks that much. So anywhere there's should be a shadow, like on the side of this building, I feel like you need to put it there because it's shadow side. It should be a little more, but you want to create a little bit of complex lighting. And once that's done, maybe very bottom of the boat, like so, and maybe here and there. And when you hit done, we're going to use a little bit of a gradient filter, and we're going to just go ahead and select up. Make sure you hold down the shift key, and that's going to keep it nice and level. Same thing on this side. We're just going to drag it out, and we're going to pull it back. And what that's done is it's created a little bit of a, I might go back a little bit on this one. What it's done is it created a little bit of a vignette only on this side, where I have this natural vignette of the sky, and this natural, and I'm creating a vignette on this side. And what's done is it's bringing the subject into the very center where it's this rock and the building, and then it leads out to this boat with this amazing sunset in the background. Where if I would have just done a vignette across the whole thing, I would have darkened down the sky, and I didn't want to do that. So that's this image, and it's completely done. If you guys like it, go ahead and tell me what you think. Well guys, that was the image. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please take a look at my website, and always stay tuned for the next tutorial that should be coming out here very shortly. Thanks again.